that Somali, they have a government before. But now they take civil war, even they destroy the countries. There is some problem there.
In the future, you can't think. If I said I think that one, I will do that one, I don't have that chance at the moment, so I can't say.
But when you sleep at night, you dream, one
Yes.
day I will be this. What do you dream of?
My dream is I will be a doctor, to become a doctor if I get that chance.
At the height of the Somali war in the early 90s, these two young people were barely out of their diapers when their parents had to make the difficult decision to journey into Kenya to run from the hardship that had become life in a war-torn Somalia.
Because it's our country, so we have to, because this country.
And they wasn't told me my parents, and they was passed away while I was young. So even I was just in Hagadera refugee.
25 years later, both are now parents to children born with the tag refugee attached to them, while Fardosa is hoping to change her status to living as a free citizen in her home county of Somalia. Aidan is skeptical about going back home and will have to live with the tag refugee just a little bit longer until when he says things will get better back home.
I want to back in my country, Somalia. I've been a long time here, refugee camp, and I decided to go back to Somalia.
There's no peace. Why we are here and we know what is going, why there's some people who repatriated, then they have come back. When you have asked, they told you, that place is not settled, why the war is still continuing.
Even with their different views, both young persons believe they're looking out for the best interests of their children. Aidan, a father of two, is married to a refugee like him. Without her education, they both volunteer at the local hospital where they can earn a stipend at the end of every month.
10 people living together, 8,500. It's small money.
The United Nations High Commission for Refugees, which has been at the heart of humanitarian aid at the Dadaab refugee complex since it opened up its doors to help those running away from war in 1991, says that it hopes more donors will not shy away from helping them run the camp even as new emergencies come to life from conflicts in Myanmar, Syria and South Sudan.
Some people, especially non-Somalis, would be progressively transferred to Kakuma. Now, Kakuma is completely overwhelmed because the crisis in South Sudan is increasing, so more refugees are coming. So all this situation and the resettlement was another solution for many, and we had the US decrease. So it almost seems like one of those games that are where you have all the difficulties. Unfortunately, it is not a game. It is a reality in which people's lives are at stakes.
Filippo Grandi, in his second visit to the Daadab camp, makes it a point to visit with those who live here. Today he's bidding goodbye to 90 individuals who are mostly women and children. These 20 families are among the 32,000 that have decided to go back to rebuild their lives in their home country.
Conditions are not yet ready for massive return, but gradually and systematically we're trying to get back those who wish to go back and feel integrated.
Canadian Minister for Immigration Ahmed Hussein, he himself a former refugee, chats with those returning home to begin their lives. He accompanies the UNHCR officials to visit a place he once called home many years ago before he got the opportunity to relocate to Canada to begin a new life. Many like Aidan say they have tried to apply for asylum in Western countries but have not been successful. Though he did not get the chance to meet with Minister Hussein, he says he is inspired by his journey in life and prays that one day he can get the opportunity to study medicine in the United States and come back to help his people.
I was just having a case for years. If that one will be going through and I will go there, I'm willing that I will become a doctor to finish my study.
For now, he spends his free time perfecting his sewing skills. With a sewing machine at his house, he makes clothes for not only his family, but for many at the E41 camp, one of the 4 establishments in the larger Daadab complex. Lack of jobs is not the only major challenge for the thousands who call Dadaab home. He says that he cannot get a good night's sleep, fearing that the police will come and arrest him. He says many in Hagadera camp where he lives are harassed by police officers from Kenya.
Bradangu umechukua nini askari kama nakufa kama ni mgonjwa sina habari yake.
Due to a language barrier between our crew and Ibrahim, he sometimes gets emotional and tells our interpreter that he wants to walk away from the interview. Our crowd has gathered around us, and the occasional laughter of the children ticks him off when he tries to explain his predicament. But while Mahmoud sees no hope for the future living in an enclosure with very little rights to movement outside Dadaab sub-county in Garissa, he stays calm and insists that this is the best place for him to be.
Aja nikae hapo yani kwa sababu hapo ndo amani yani. Hivyo.
Na hapa maisha yako namna gani hapa?
Hapa maisha ndio ngumu lakini Kenya ni amani.
The young man tells us of a story where his family walked to the Kenyan border before boarding a lorry to the Dadaab camp. This has been his home since he was 2 years old, and the thought of going back to Somalia hasn't crossed his mind. Mahmoud says that like many Somalis, the news that Kenya might close the Dadaab camp for good in May 2017 was a scary thought. They had painted a picture in their minds of being bundled into buses headed for unfamiliar territory, away from the comfort that they currently enjoy, even with the government coming to an agreement of voluntary repatriation. Still, that thought is closed in their minds for now. But even as an issue of repatriation is still being discussed, the UNHCR feels that the position of Dadaab is still vital for humanitarian assistance, even as the other more recent and larger camps open up. Yes. At this village in Hagadere camp, some who are moved from other camps begin life afresh here, but the local leadership says a lot more needs to be done.
Hii watu wametolewa kampi inaitwa kambi Os. Hiyo kampi kwa pande lingine. Walikaa hapa karibu miaka 6 mpaka waleo hawana choo. Maji shida, anasema shule hakuna.
While others take the leap of faith to journey back, the remaining 250,000 will continue to call this place home for as long as Kenya can have them, living life as refugee in what was once the world's biggest refugee camp, Dadaab.
27 years down the line, Dadaab has seen its fair share of transformation from makeshift camps to now secluded homes, and with many who have been born here, they've gone to school here. They know no other place than Dadaab camp as home. They say the Kenya government's decision to send them back home is a difficult one, as they do not know what kind of future will find them there. Leila Mohammed, NTV, at the Dadaab camp, Garissa County.